Live. Ask Dr. Love. Anything you want to know about Asian medicine, acupuncture, herbs, nutrition, superfoods, and your health. I'm Dr. George Xavier Love, Doctor of Asian Medicine for 36 years, licensed in the state of Florida. And this is episode 38 of our Ask Dr. Love podcast. So we're on Spotify, iTunes, Radio Play. We're on multiple podcast platforms, Anchor.fm. So you're watching us live on Facebook, IG, or YouTube. So the topic today is about Qi, the electromagnetic energy that flows through the blood. So you get to ask any question you want. Just type in the comments what your question is. I'm going to go rather fast today because this is a fascinating topic for me, because Qi is the basis of Asian medicine, is the basis of Qi-Gong, is the basis of the creation of dis-ease and the formation of health and wellness. So what is Qi? Qi is literally translated as breath. If there's any yogi people out there, you use the word prana. Prana is the same as Qi. If you come from a Japanese background, it's the same as Qi. Qi, Qi, prana. In Tibetan, it's Sa. So Salong in Tibetan, pranayam in Hindi, and Qi-Gong in Chinese. And in English, it's vitality exercises. So there are 5 sources. One is sunlight. One is the electromagnetic radiation of the earth, which gives off a pulsed electromagnetic field. One is cosmic Qi, which is the air that goes into the lungs. One is food and water. And the last source is what we call ancestral energy, which is your genetic potential that's mystically stored in your kidneys. Now, interesting enough, vitamin D is not a vitamin. It's a hormone manufactured by the kidneys to regulate calcium production. So, ancestral energy stored in the kidneys, vitamin D manufactured, a hormone manufactured in the kidneys. Anyway, so 5 sources of Qi. Now, if you live in the northeastern United States and you live in a high-rise apartment and your windows are hermetically sealed, how much sunlight can you actually get? If you go down from your high-rise into the subway, ride the subway an hour more into the city, and then come back up and then go into another high-rise to go to work where the windows are also hermetically sealed, how much sunlight can you get? So depending upon where you live, your sunlight may be restricted. Now, in Japan, everybody, even the apartment dwellers, have a back porch, they have a patio, they have something they can go outside and get fresh air and stamp their feet. Because when you stamp your feet, you are stimulating this pulsed electromagnetic field. And if you live outside of Tokyo, you've got a backyard. Everybody's got a backyard. Even if you have a tiny house, you got a little 10 by 20 backyard, and you can go outside and stamp your feet in the dirt. Now, my Qigong master had us collect smooth stones, put it in a burlap bag, put the bag inside of a cardboard box, and we would stamp our feet for 10 to 15 minutes every day. He said that would stimulate production. It would stimulate bone marrow production. And more importantly, it would stimulate the immune system by stamping the bottom of our feet on these smooth stones. So heaven and earth, cosmic, which is the breath. So can you control whether you get fresh air or recycled air or air conditioned air? Do you have any control over that? Well, you could, maybe not, but you could if you wanted to have more control over how much fresh air you actually get. The fourth source, your ancestral energy, that's the one thing you don't have control over. So if you're the firstborn of an Olympic swimmer mother and a tennis champion father, you can pretty much eat dirt, live in the woods, sleep on nothing, and always look like $1 million. But if you're the fifth born of a drug addict father and an alcoholic mother, you can live on sprout sandwiches, work out in a gym every day, and you're always going to look like death warmed over. So the only thing that you're limited by is your genetic potential. But can you overcome it with exercise? And that is the case for today's show, is how do you increase your Qi? What are the best ways of doing Qi? Well, number one, exercise. What is the best exercise? It is swimming. Swimming is the best exercise. We took the tribe to the beach this weekend, and there were huge waves, like 18-foot waves. And we were swimming. I got punched in the face, thrown over, and kicked out of the water by the waves. And it was so much fun. I couldn't stop laughing. I almost choked from laughing so hard. And our bodies were turned every which way. That is the best exercise. But if you don't live close to the ocean, I guess Qi-Gong is your default. The second best exercise is dancing, freestyle dancing. So you put on your electronic dance music, you put on your drumming, your Afro-Caribbean rhythms, your Middle Eastern drumming, and you dance. Oh, you don't have a partner? Oh, you don't have access to world beat, house, junglist, drum and bass? Okay, I guess Qigong would be your default. The third best exercise is sex. Oh, you don't have a partner? No. Okay, then I guess your default is. So the fourth way to generate Qi is Qigong. Now, why Qigong over working out in a gym? When you work out in a gym, it's pretty much linear and mindless. So if you're lifting weights, you're going to put strain on a particular joint. If you're doing this, you're going to put strain on a particular joint. If you're doing this, you're going to put strain on a particular joint. And because it's linear, you're not thinking, you're just doing it. Okay, that's a cable pull. I was a gym trainer for 5 years. I was a yoga teacher for 5 years. I was a fitness trainer before the term fitness trainer was ever coined. That's how long I've been into fitness. But when you do Qigong, which are rotational joint exercise movements, when you do this, you have to think, you have to breathe, you have to concentrate, you have to visualize, you have to literally look at the palm of your hand while you're doing the movement. So every sense is engaged. The base of the brain is involved in spatial, muscular, moving awareness. And that engages the base of the brain is the rotational joint exercises. So there's something called neuroplasticity. Plasticity is the variability that you can make an adjustment to. Neural refers to neural patterns. Then there's something called plyometrics. That's using your body weight to build muscle. So even though we're doing an upper body exercise, the fact that we're leaning back and forth, we're going side to side, puts different stress on different muscles in the legs. So even though you're not using the leg, the fact that you're moving actually strengthens your legs. That is amazing. So that's why Qigong is our default for healthy exercise that triggers the immune response, triggers heart rate, and triggers respiration rate. It's complicated, but I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. When you breathe in, the lungs expand, the oxygenated blood goes out. When you breathe out, the deoxygenated blood goes back in. So if you concentrate on the exhale, you get more blood going into the lungs. And that's what you want to do. You want to get more blood to get oxygenated. That's why you have to concentrate on the exhale. And that's why the diaphragm and breathing out is the best way to build energy. Now, what time of day should I be doing this? Well, if you want to create energy, the best time is first thing in the morning. If you have excess energy that you want to get rid of, the best time is maybe 2 or 3 hours before you go to bed. But if you want peak performance, then you should train 8 hours after you wake up. Well, Dr. Love, when is the best time to do Qi-Gong? The best time is sunrise, 10 a.m., 2 p.m., sunset, and midnight. I'm going to say that again because I know I talk fast. Sometimes you don't catch it all. Sunrise, 10 a.m., 2 p.m., sunset, and midnight. Those are the best times to do Qigong. Now, what is the fascinating thing about Qigong is that you can store oxygen in the tissues. So I'm going to make an analogy. What is rust? Rust is when oxygen escapes from the iron. That's what rust is. When you see a book that's 100 years old, the pages are brown and crumbly. That's because oxygen has escaped. If you burn something halfway, what do you see? Black, charred something. That is oxygen that's been burned up by the fire. So what is the aging process? That's your oxygen escaping first from the tissues that make you wrinkled, and then secondly, from the inside of the blood vessels. And we call that free radical damage. But when we do Qigong, we electromagnetically charge the blood so you can store the oxygen in the tissue so you can still have energy at the end of the day and not be wiped out. And that's what Qigong does for you. Now, the next best way to build Qi is with moxibustion, and that's what we call heat therapy. In Chinese medicine, Acumoxa was one word that included the needle, the pin, which relieved inflammation, local inflammation, and moxibustion, which warmed the area, which restored strength to cold and weak tissue. That's the thing that's so amazing. The more I study this, 40 years I've been teaching, practicing, and traveling around the world and sharing my information, the more I learn, the more I realize this is superior medicine to drugs and surgery because it is preventive. So, how does moxa work? Moxa is an herb called mugwort, and they roll it into a cigar and they burn it and they hold it over the skin. And as the heat penetrates the skin from the mugwort, and by the way, the communists tried over 150 herbs instead of mugwort to see if it had the same effect, if it was just heat. And they found out through trial and error that mugwort was still the best way. And how did the Chinese know this? 500 BC. We'll never know until we invent the time machine. So the issue is they drew blood 8 hours, 24 hours, and 72 hours after they did the moxibustion treatment. What they found out, there was a bloom of white blood cell production 8 hours after the moxa. And 24 hours later, it had doubled. And they found out that when they did it every day for 3 days in a row, that increase in bloom of white blood cells, which is your immune system, by the way, it lasts for 3 weeks. And when they do it every day for 3 weeks, the effects last for 3 months. Now, you can walk into any Chinese grocery store in this country or any other country, and you can buy a moxa stick for less than $1, less than $1. And you burn that over your belly button for 10 minutes a night, and you're going to see a bloom of white blood cells. That builds your immune system. How come that is not being utilized? Now, for those of you news junkies on YouTube, the president of the country of Madagascar has made a tea from the same mugwort herb that I'm telling you about. It's called Artemisia annua, and he talks about it extensively. You can go on YouTube, put President of Madagascar, and that information will come up. And he has come up with a tea from the same plant, this mugwort plant, that grows by the side of the road right here in the US of A. And we burn it, or the Chinese medicine burns it. They made a tea out of it. And yet the World Health Organization wants to attack him for an unproven remedy that could have side effects. I'm sorry, this has already been in use for more than 2,000 years. So heat therapy is number 2. Number 3 way to build your chi is with massage. But wait, do they have to have a license? Can I just go to somebody in the gym who rubs me down? Or, can I go to anybody? Well, I got a better suggestion. Why not learn to massage yourself? Or more importantly, that significant other in your life. I teach roommate massage. I teach pajama massage. I also am the one who pioneered chair massage in New York back in the 80s. The first guy who invented the massage chair hired me to put a training program for his staff. So that's how long I've been involved in teaching people how to massage themselves and others. So I don't want to go into a whole massage class, but I will tell you that beneath the skin, there's a fluid called interstitial fluid. And when you very lightly rub your skin, it feels good. And your significant other, if you just rubbed his or her arm very lightly, it feels good, doesn't it? Of course it does. What about your pet cat or dog? It feels good. I had a pet turtle. I took a toothbrush and I scrubbed the back of the turtle, and the turtle got all jiggy. So the turtle liked getting a massage. Yeah, they can feel through that shell. So this interstitial fluid is connected to the endocrine glands, which secrete hormones. Feel-good hormones. I know you've heard of endorphins. I know you've heard of runner's high. I know you've heard of a sexual high. Those are endorphins or feel good hormones. So you massaging yourself very lightly stimulates your hormone production of endorphins. Wow. Now, there's something we do: pat up your arm, pat down your arm, pat your legs. We do a whole facial where we do a memory brush, cranial tap, pineal push, pituitary pull. We do a whole 8-minute sequence of self massage. And I don't know when we're going to do that course again, but if you comment, I want the morning and evening massage course that Dr. Love talks about, we'll contact you and let you know when that course is going to be online very soon. So I teach not only self massage, but roommate massage and pajama massage, which is another way of saying non-sexual massage. I'm going to repeat that. NST, non-sexual massage. Okay, the next way of stimulating Qi is Meridian Therapy. Now, what is a meridian? A meridian is a channel of energy that flows through the body like blood flows through the veins. There are 14 regular meridians. So there's 3 arm yin meridians that start on the chest and end on the fingers. And there's 3 arm yang meridians that start on the fingers and end on the face. And there's 3 leg yang meridians that start on the face and end on the foot. And then there's 3 leg yin meridians that start on the feet and end on the chest. So that's 12. And then there's one called the reception vessel, which is the feelings, thoughts, words, and actions where the energy flows up. And then there's the governing vessel that also starts at the base of the spine and also comes up. So these 2 come up, meet at the top of the head, go down, spiral through the body, and come out of the anus. So there's this spiral of energy of the reception and the governing, and then you've got the 12 regular meridians. Wow. So that's the meridian system. So how do we move Qi through the meridian system? Well, there's something called cupping, and there's something else called gua sha. And I can't grab the cups, but I'm sure you've seen cupping somewhere. Gua sha is a way of scraping, and maybe we'll post pictures in the comments section. We will post pictures in the comments section of what cupping and gua sha look like. And you can go to your local acupuncturist and have them do it for you. That is my gift to you. So moving energy through the meridians is definitely the way to build Qi. Okay, so we're going to take a little break here and answer some questions.
So people have commented on YouTube with some questions, and I made a compilation of YouTube questions for you.
Okay.
So all of them might not relate, but I'm sure it has a relation.
Okay.
The first question is, what is a good acupressure point for erections?
For erections,
yeah,
there is no acupressure point for erections. Erections is a blood flow to a certain part of the body that requires fluid. It requires clean blood vessels. It requires breath, and it requires muscular strength. So those 4 things have to be involved in getting better erections. And so there's no acupressure point for that.
Actually, somebody live, really get priority to the live question. Sifu Karen on Instagram says, what about singing and chanting for energy building?
That is such a good idea. I didn't finish with my list, but thank you for bringing that up, Sifu Karen. So singing, chanting, and playing the flute or any woodwind instrument will also build Qi. So I teach a course called Sing Your Heart Open. And I've got my favorite chants. I have 10 chants that I actually teach people how to sing. And I had a workshop this weekend, and in this weekend workshop, we chanted for more than 2 hours. I went to bed. I woke up. They were still chanting. I took a nap. They were still chanting when I woke up. So they loved it.
I was chanting in my sleep.
Oh, that's right. You were chanting in your sleep.
In the shower.
You were chanting in the shower?
I'm chanting in the shower now.
So
I actually chanted in the shower too. That's how I got my chants in. So thank you for that, Sifu Karen. Okay, next
someone
question.
mentioned they were interested in the class, the massage class.
Okay,
We'll let them know about it.
we'll let you know about it. If you can, DM in IG. If you can't, you'll send me your email address and
mention
we'll
massage class.
mention massage class.
Or you leave the comments and we'll go back to your comments. A lot of people are very interested. It seems like we really need to launch this.
We're ready to launch. I actually taught this 2 months ago, and they just went ballistic. And the reason is because the people in the class took it because they were scary about touching other people. And when they got over their fear of touching other people, they're like, oh, I want to do this every day. So yeah, you're going to like it.
Yes.
Next question is yoga as effective as Qi-Gong? Have my cake and eat it too.
Okay. So what I was trying to say in the beginning, that pranayama is Qi-Gong. So prana is Qi and yam is effective method. Qi is the breath and Gong is mastery of. So pranayama is done in between the asanas, which are the postures. The point of doing asanas is so that you can sit longer in meditation. Hatha yoga by itself is not really the essence of yoga. Hatha yoga, or the asanas or the postures, are a method to enhance your ability to meditate. Qigong is the meditation. So the difference between Qigong and pranayama is done in between the asanas. Now, for your information, since you're a yogi, the only yogic exercise you need to do is the sun salutation. And if you do that 4 times every day, 1 in each direction, and then after a week, you do that 8 times, and then after another week, you do it 12 times. So if you only want to do yoga and you don't want to do Qigong, you're still doing Qigong when you do the 12 sun salutations.
Tony asks, can you do a morning chanting session?
Can I lead a morning chanting session, or can you do it on your own if I send you my favorite chants with the YouTube links so you can listen and chant by yourself?
That sounds like the plan. You want to take more questions, or do you want
Yeah.
to keep going?
I'll take more
Committee
questions.
approved chants.
My question is, what can I do for stagnant blood?
That is the reason why we learn how to do Qi, because of stagnant blood. So the first thing is, why is your blood stagnant? What are you doing or not doing? What are you doing to cause stagnant blood, and what are you not doing to reverse stagnant blood? So the breath of fire is the first thing we're going to learn. The second thing we're going to learn is alternate nose breathing, which I call the cleansing breath. And the third thing we're going to learn is the healing breath. So those 3 exercises are the first thing we're going to learn to reverse stagnant blood. The next thing we're going to do is swing arms. And if you've not attended any of the online Qigong classes, now's your chance. Go to loveqigong.com. That's LOVEQIGONG, loveqigong.com. Register for the morning class, and you will learn all of the exercises that are going to reverse stagnant blood, because that's what we do.
Here's a question. Is this the whole Flying Buddha Palm? Are there more portions of the Flying Buddha Palm Qigong? How is the breathing done for the Flying Buddha Palm Qigong?
Is that from Michael Reed?
Love Qi-Gong. No, that was from a YouTube comment on a Flying Buddha Palm video. I didn't actually
okay. So Flying Buddha Palm has 7 variations. So what you saw in the video was the basic intro of Flying Buddha Palm. There's 7 variations. So from the one you saw, there's 6 more variations. So yeah, it's rather involved. And for my money, it's the culmination. When you learn all 7 variations and then you practice them for 2, 3, 4 years, you're there. You're almost there. You're going to be high up on the Qigong level.
Somebody asked, is the spleen meridian still working if the spleen is removed?
The spleen meridian is definitely still working even though the spleen organ is removed. The British, in their lack of infinite wisdom, decided they were going to change the names of the meridians to make it simple for them to understand. So whatever descriptive term the Chinese used, the British said, it's too long. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand those metaphors. So does it go through the spleen organ? We're going to call it the spleen meridian. So that's why all the meridians have names of organs, because that's the organ that it innervates. But that's not the Chinese name of the spleen meridian.
What's that question?
The next question is, what can Qigong help with bipolar disorder and learning disabilities?
Yes, it can help with both bipolar and learning disabilities. So there's a part of the brain which is called the hippocampus. The hippocampus receives information from the amygdala, which is the emotional memory. And then the hippocampus kicks it upstairs to the neocortex in order to regulate the response to the emotional memory. However, sometimes the amygdala hijacks the response and doesn't allow the hippocampus to kick it up to Papa, the neocortex, and then sends a message to the hypothalamus to like, off with his head. And that's what we call bipolar, which is a irrational response to an emotional trigger. That's what bipolar is. So we flip back and forth between the memory and then the irrational reaction to the memory. So anything can trigger us. So bipolar is that trigger. Now, when we do Qigong on a regular basis, the blood flow to the brain enhances the function of the hippocampus and downplays the function of the amygdala. So that is the reason why Qigong will help with bipolar. Now, with learning disability, that has to do with neural pathways in the brain. So what makes somebody smarter than another person is they have more options, more choices. So let's say you're on your way to work and you always take the expressway to work. And now the expressway is closed. How do you get through the city streets to your destination? Well, if you had experience driving in that particular neighborhood, you would figure out how to get from point A to point B, not using the freeway. But if you have a lack of familiarity of that neighborhood, you're going to just be blind, just driving up and down streets, not knowing how to get there. So What makes a human smarter than another human is the ability to assess the lay of the land and make a choice or a decision that's going to get them from point A to point B. So what Qi-Gong does is it increases blood flow, blood oxygen, and nutrients to all parts of the brain, which lights it up, which gives us alternative approaches to decision making. And that's what increases learning ability with Qigong.
Excellent.
What does it mean if I crave meat? Could it be a protein or collagen deficiency?
If you are craving meat, it's because they put drugs in the food. And I say that unequivocally. As someone who has cattle farmers as patients who shared with me the fact that they put drugs in their animals to make them grow big and fat so they get more money when they take them to the slaughterhouse, because the cattle farmer makes less than $100 profit on every cow.
Wow.
And if he has to call the vet to come out and the vet charges him 75 or $100, that cattle farmer has already lost money. So he uses drugs prophylactically so he won't lose money. It's not some nefarious conspiracy theory to poison us. He's just trying to make a profit from his cows. And those drugs make you addicted to the flesh.
I still have dreams of eating meat.
Dreams.
Dreams.
Yeah.
Like a night.
I don't eat it, but sometimes I sleep and I feel like I'm eating it, and I wake up and I'm like, whoa.
Well, I'm sorry to hear
I'm
that.
just saying. I understand.
We'll have to do more Qigong.
I understand. I could sympathize.
More Qigong.
The next question. Can you speak about how to help the respiratory system?
Absolutely. We just went over singing, chanting. We talked about playing the flute, playing the sax, any type of woodwind instrument, anything where you have to use the breath, that's going to help your respiratory system. The lungs are strongest between 3 and 5 a.m. So if you have respiratory issues, I would wake up at 3 a.m. and I would do breathing exercises for an hour. Maybe 3 a.m. is too early for you. Maybe you'll get up at 4 a.m. and do breathing exercises for an hour. Maybe you're absolutely lazy and can't wake up till 9 a.m. You can still do breathing exercises whenever you do get up. So there's 8 breathing exercises that I teach. I will give you 3 of those breathing exercises. And after you practice them for a month, contact me. We'll see how you're doing. And I might even prescribe a few more.
Did you ever see a video of how energy actually flows through the meridians, like in one sequence?
No, I have never seen such a video, but I have visualized it in my own body during meditation. And if you practice meditation and you wake up at 3 a.m. to meditate and do your breathing exercises, you will also be able to visualize how energy moves through your meridians.
Someone asked, Dr. Love, how do you feel about the Falun Dafa practices?
Falun Dafa is a spiritual Qigong. It is an excellent Qigong in order to develop spiritual awareness, connection, and elevation. I practiced it for about a year, and I found out that my Qigong, the Blue Dragon, was just as effective in terms of developing what we call spiritual alchemy. In China, it's being persecuted not because of the Qigong, but because they decided to get involved in Chinese politics and run people for political office in opposition to the Communist Party. And that is the only reason that it's persecuted in China.
All right, that concludes all the questions on the Ask Dr. Love podcast.
So the last thing that builds chi is acupuncture and diet. So if you want to build your own chi, we have to create the chi and then we have to move the chi. So food and water, and with a particular health diet, then generates chi, and then we use acupuncture to move the chi to where it needs to go. So I hope I've been helpful in dispelling some myths, dropping a few pearls of wisdom, and giving you guys something to think about. And if you'd like to get a private consultation, just drop me a line. We'll contact you and we'll set that up. I'm Dr. George Xavier Love for the Blue Dragon Qigong Academy. I want you to remember your health is in your hands. Prevention is the only cure. In order to be well, you've got to chi well. Until then, they heard 3 podcasts, they went ballistic. Now they want everything. They cannot get enough of the information that I'm providing, which they cannot get anywhere else. You would have had to have read 700 books and 40 years of clinical practice to know what I know and am able to share with you. So like and share and then subscribe to the podcast. Thank you very much.
Great job.
I sense inspirational music.